turn on the record function. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Linda, who is going to go ahead and share her screen. And that will automatically pop up on your screen, and your Zoom should reformat itself so that you can both see her talking, but also see the screen. I'll also be sharing some resources in the chat that Linda will be referencing throughout the presentation. And we're looking forward to learning with you all this morning. Go ahead, Linda, it's all yours.
Thank you. You can hear me, right? I'm not muted.
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes or so providing some tools and strategies for you to use in conjunction with your social studies instructions, specifically the K-5 SSELA curriculum. Now, if you're a 6 to 8 teacher, these should be applicable to you as well, but I just want you to know that the examples that I'm going to be showing are specifically from K-5. Greg introduced himself already. He's the Regional Coordinator for Social Studies and Blended Learning at PNW BOCES. He gave you the norms. I was going to ask him to do that, but he's already covered that. So thank you, Greg. Okay, so here we are. You're home. You're trying to connect to your students in some meaningful way. This is new to you, especially as a K-5 teacher, right? Blended learning, what's that? You probably haven't had a lot of experience with blended learning. And now all of a sudden you're put in this new dimension where you want to help your kids, you want to push out engaging activities to them, and you're not with them. You know, in the classroom, you're giving that little personal anecdote, you're patting them on the back, you have those teachable moments where you can relate social studies to some anecdote that you've gone through or that they've gone through. But now, you know, you're kind of like at a loss. What do I do? Plus, our social studies curriculum, you know, it's behind a password protected wall. You can't push it out to students. It's intended for you as a teacher. It's really not intended to be pushed out to students the way that you're having to teach right now. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at some things that you can do and some tools that you can use in conjunction with our curriculum that should be easy to accomplish, they should be easy to push out to students, and hopefully they should be easy for you to learn how to use. First of all, I'm going to address vocabulary. Since vocabulary is such a big part of SSELA and social studies, we're going to look at an old tried and true tool, Quizlet. I'm not sure if any of you have used it before. It's been around for 15 years, believe it or not, Quizlet has. And did you know that it was created by a high school student who was studying for his French quiz, and he wanted to figure out a cool way to study his French vocabulary? I'm just going to show you this right now. It's kind of interesting. Here he is. Andrew Sutherland. 15 years ago, he invented Quizlet. Since then, Quizlet has been used in over 3 billion study sets by students all over the world. Pretty amazing. Do you wish you were Andrew Sutherland? I kind of wish I do. So what can you do with Quizlet? Well, first of all, you can engage students in vocabulary. You can let them actually play really fun games. And the nice thing about it, and one of the reasons that I'm showing it to you right now, is that students don't need to log in. So you can create the activities for them. You can do it creating your own free account. I've never paid for the version, by the way. It's like $3 a month, I think, to pay for the paid version. I've never really had the need to use the paid version. I'm going to show you here, linked on my slide deck, which you're going to get a copy of. I've given you these how-to guides. So in case you've never used it, you should be well on your way to figuring it out. So over here is the link to Quizlet. This is my Quizlet account. I am logged in. You see there is an ad there, unfortunately. But once students log in and they see your activities, they're not going to really be distracted by the ads. And I haven't really seen any ads that are inappropriate. So by the way, like I said, I have used the free version for 15 years, but I'm not a teacher, so I have to make that clear. If you sign up for the paid version, there is a way for you to track your own students, to put them in classes, and to actually get data. But again, thinking of EdLaw 2D, which I'll talk about a little bit later too, if you don't want to worry about these apps collecting your student data, then using the free version means that kids don't have to log in. They're just engaging with the content. They're engaging with the vocabulary. They're learning while they're having fun. And you don't have to worry about the app itself collecting data if that's a big deal in your district, which it should be because of EdLaw 2D. So we actually have some Quizlet sets that are already linked in our SSELA curriculum. But you shouldn't be intimidated to try it on your own and set up your own. And I'm going to show you a set that I created that's undoubtedly on our SSELA curriculum. And this is for grade 4, unit 2. Now, as a user of SSELA, you know that we have illustrated glossaries for every single unit in the curriculum because vocabulary is such a big piece of social studies. So here's the set that was created for grade 4, unit 2, impact of the colonial revolutionary war periods on New York State. So you see over here that students can either look at the flashcards. Here's the flashcards right here, where they get the definition and the term, which they can study on their own. You can add illustrations to them, as you see I've done here. So this is really where students are just learning the vocabulary. And once they go through these sets, then they have like 5 or 6 other things that they can do with these same sets. Here's where they actually have to do a multiple choice. They could have to write the words out. They could have to spell the words. They can take a test, and you might say, well, a test, you're not collecting student data. They're not logging in. How am I going to know how they do? Well, there's a number of ways you could do that. First of all, maybe you really are not that concerned about assessing this right now. You just want them to know these terms, to be familiar with them. At the end of the quiz, they could take a screenshot and send it to you if you really, feel that that's really important to have that assessment data. Now, probably down here is the place where your kids are going to have the most fun, in these play activities where they can play a matching game. So here's the matching game right now. Now these can be a little bit, this is just simply a drag and drop activity. And notice over here that a timer's on. And what I've seen kids do in the classroom is actually do this over and over and over again and try to beat their best time from once before. So here, all I would do is I would just drag this on top of that. If I get it right, the terms disappear. The French and Indian War, is that right? If I get it wrong, you see that the items will not disappear. And it's timing me. So that's a fun activity that kids really like to do. The gravity game is a little bit more challenging, but it's a lot of fun. Now, when you do the gravity game, I think it's always best to make sure that you tell your kids that they have to put in the term, not the definition, or else they have to type out the entire definition before the asteroids or the meteors or whatever they are get to the bottom. So here's how this one works. I'll just show you. I'm going to start the game right now. So once I've learned, studied all those terms, they're falling down, and I made this game easy. And what word do I have to type in before they get to the bottom? Oh, you got to spell it right. Boycott. Yay, I did it. So again, you can see I'm keeping a score over here. I can pause my game. I can restart the game. So once they have gone through all these terms, now they're going to have fun playing these games. I've seen this used in the classroom over and over. I've seen that kids really like to play these games and learn their vocabulary at the same time. Now, Quizlet does have a new, at least new to me, activity called Diagram, where you can actually push out a diagram that they have to label, which is also great for social studies, for instance, with maps and things like that. Quizlet Live is one of my favorite games to be using in the classroom face-to-face with students. Unfortunately, we're not in that situation now, but if you push these sets out to kids in advance, and hopefully we'll be back in the classroom, then you could engage them in this Quizlet Live, which is more of a collaborative game, which kids actually work in teams and try to beat out the other teams. Now, I mentioned EdLaw 2D because I just wanted to, again, to stress that the way I'm showing you these tools today are showing you them in the context of students not having to log in. You simply create these activities and push the URL out to them. So in order to create a set, all I need to do is hit this create button. I give it a name. You can see I've started one right here for grade 5 SSELA Unit 5 Kenya. You can add a description. You can import the terms from Google Docs or Microsoft Word if you've already done that. Or you can simply type in the word, type in the definition, and then add an image as you can see here. I do want to, yes.
We just had a question from Tiffany. She said she just wants to clarify, so you can make these activities and save them for kids to access them without a paid subscription.
Without any subscription, yes. You just push out the URL and kids can access them. Once, you just have to have a way for them to push the URL out to students. If you're using Google Classroom, if you're using your website, you could post the web address on your website. You could put it on your Google Classroom. You could send it home in a packet. Any way that you want. Quizlet, like I said, it's been around for a really long time. It has some features that are really fabulous in terms of dual language. You can create sets in English and Spanish or many, many other languages. It has an audio component, so students can actually listen to the words and the definitions being read to them. As in terms of including the images, I just mentioned that you can include an image, which you saw in that example set that I showed you before. For the free version, however, you have to use the images that Quizlet presents to you. For instance, if I typed in the word right now, map, and put the definition it is a blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to finish it up, but when I click image here, do you see how Quizlet looks at the word map, recognizes it and says, oh, here's a map. Would you like to use one of these? Sometimes the image isn't exactly what, if you have the premium version, you can insert any image at all that you like. Are there any other questions on Quizlet? Greg, anybody else have a question here? So one thing that I didn't mention about Quizlet that's really important, I kind of forget this because I always tend to make my own sets. I tend to make the sets based on those illustrated vocabularies that we have available in the SSELA curriculum. But if you're using this for another subject area, they have millions of sets that are already created by other teachers. So you can look based on subject area. You can specifically look for a particular type of set. And then if you find one that you like, you can actually copy it into your own account. You can modify it. You can change the definitions. So it's kind of like, a whole group experience. Like I said before, 3 billion sets have been used by students all over the world. So Quizlet has been around for 15 years. At that, I could say it's not going away. It's one of these web tools that came on early with the inception of using technology in our classroom. It's lasted. Andrew Sutherland is a brilliant millionaire who actually also works at MIT. So I'm going to move on. If there aren't any more questions about Quizlet, take a look at our SSELA curriculum. And
Linda, we just had a late question.
Okay.
We had somebody ask if it's possible to share Quizlets for other teachers to use. And I just wrote
Absolutely.
that the best way would be to share out that link.
Yep.
That would be the easiest way to do it.
And they can copy it into their own account and they can modify it as well. There's a couple of little things that I didn't show here. Notice over here, and on the left-hand side, I have created 3 folders. So if I click on social studies, these are the sets that I have identified as being part of social studies. You can see that most of them are related to our curriculum. Here's a diagram that I started to play with last night. That's that new feature for students to actually label a diagram. I did one on the 13 colonies. I came into a little bit of trouble, I have to admit. On the free version, I wasn't allowed to identify all 13 colonies with one individual diagram. I think that's a limitation of the free version, although I don't know yet enough about diagrams to be certain about that. So I would just look into that. But again, when you want to create a new set, diagram is one of those options right here. So you choose an image and then you can label it. You choose an image from your own computer and upload it, and then you put little dots on it, kind of like a thing link, if anybody's ever used that tool before. Any other questions, Greg, about Quizlet? Just to remind you, I'm going to go back to the slide here. I have created this handout for you to show you how to use it. It's very easy. I don't think any of you are going to have any trouble, but I did provide you with that how-to guide. And when you get a link to this presentation, when we're done today, you'll get a link to this exact presentation that you're looking at, and all the links are embedded in there with links that anybody can view. So
I shared it out, Linda, and I'll post it again at the very end also.
Very good. Okay, so I'm going to move on to my next activity, which is called Flippity. Now, Flippity is really one of my favorite tools. I have to say that you're not going to be using Flippity, or even Quizlet for that matter, in these higher order thinking kind of experiences for kids, but you're going to use it to get them to study and learn content, notably things like vocabulary, map skills, geography, etc. So Flippity has a number of different activities that you can try, and they're all built on a Google spreadsheet. Now, don't freak out at that. You know, I know everybody likes spreadsheet. Oh my God, spreadsheet, I can't do spreadsheets. But Flippity has made it very easy for you to use their Google spreadsheets that are available as templates for you to customize. Another question you might have about this, what if I'm not a Google user, or we're not a Google district? It doesn't really matter, because all you have to have is a Gmail account or a Google account, which is available to anyone for free. So you can take advantage of Flippity and create these activities using Google Sheets and then push out to students. And students, again, just like Quizlet, do not need to log in. So even if you're not a Google district, you can use all these Flippity activities with your students, whether you're a Microsoft district or a Google district, or you don't use anything, which is pretty rare these days, okay? So again, I gave you a how-to guide, but I must say that the Flippity website is extremely user-friendly in terms of showing you how to use it. I'm going to bring you to Flippity right now. Now, Flippity used to be a Google Sheets add-in, but it really isn't anymore. You used to start in your Google account and then click on the add-in, but now we're just starting right into Flippity. By the way, ignore that, logging into your account. Well, actually, I am logged into my account. To create the activities, you do need to have, like I said, a Google account. So look at all the different activities that Flippity has. Oh my goodness, some of them I don't love, I gotta be honest. But some of them I really do like. You know, there's word search puzzles, and crossword puzzles are good. Word searches are not my favorite kind of activity for kids. There's a hangman game where you could use your own vocabulary. I love the Flippity random name generator, which you would use, unfortunately, in the classroom, not here in an online environment. Flippity just put this little link on their page. It says, click here for Flippity Learning online learning recommendations. So they've even identified the activities that they think work best for you as a teacher who's home, trying to connect with your students who are home in a meaningful way and pushing out activities for them. So I've created 3 different Flippity activities for you. that I'm going to show you right now. One is a Flippity scavenger hunt. One is a Flippity manipulative. And the third is this Flippity certificate quiz, which I just started playing with over the past week. I don't think that I normally would have looked at it, except I thought, how much would kids like to get a certificate from you for doing good work while they're home? And so I thought, that's something I want to look at. There's matching games. There's the hangman, like I mentioned before. So I'm going to move over here. Here's my how-to guide, which I told you before is available to you on this handout. All right, so the first one I'm going to show you is the Flippity scavenger hunt. Now, I created a very simple Flippity scavenger hunt based on our grade 2 urban, suburban, rural curriculum unit. If you know what a digital breakout is, this is going to be familiar to you. Basically, what kids have to do is they have to unlock these 6 locks by getting the right answer. I could have added more locks. I chose to make it simple just to show you how it works. So it says, click on a link to get started. Well, I'll click on number 1. It says, is this a need or a want? And then if I click here on the little light bulb, it's going to bring up a picture. And now I have to say, what's that? Is that a need or a want? Well, some kids might say it's a need, but we know it's a want. So I type in the right answer. You heard the little click, the lock opened. I go back, I've unlocked one of my locks. So I'll go to the next one. What is a place where people live, work, and play together? Anybody know the answer? Now, unfortunately, as a second grader, I need to know how to spell this word to get it right. And again, I got it right. So I'll move ahead and say, is this a need or a want? Looking at a picture again. I think it's a need, right? Food, water, shelter, a food shelter. There we go. And going on and on, name a member of a family. Now I'm on the families unit. I don't know how I got this one in here by mistake, but just to show you, I wanted to show you an example where I could type in a multiple of different answers because it could be mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, uncle. So here my little hint says, don't give their name, just their relationship to you. So I could type in father and I would get it right. If I had typed in mother, I would have gotten it right. Aunt, uncle, sister, brother, cousin, because I've put all those answers in the template that I created to say any of these answers will do. So anyway, going through again, is this a need or a want? Let's see what this picture is. Oh, I already did that one. I meant to eliminate that one, but I didn't quite. So at the end, name a different member of the family. This time I'll name sister. So I got it right. I did it in 2 minutes. And here's my little icon to show me that I got all of my answers correct. So you can put pictures in here. You can put hints. You can put clues. It's a fairly easy activity to do. So that's the scavenger hunt. And like I said, if your kids have ever done digital breakouts in their classroom with you, this is kind of based on that same premise. You're unlocking a lock based on getting right answers. Now here's a drag and drop activity. And again, you can see that when I click on those links, it takes me right to the activity. The student didn't need to log in. The student just gets the activity presented to them. They can work through the activity on their own. Obviously, there's no assessment because they're not logging in. You're not getting their score. But again, if that's important to you and your kids know how to take a screenshot, or just ask them, report your score back to me. Is there a question, Greg? No, I guess not. Okay, so here's a drag and drop activity that I created. This is a manipulative. And again, kids see the word bank, drag the words to the correct area. Notice I put New York on there as a little bit of as a member of our New York community. So again, this is just drag and drop. I'm going to put this on Australia. etc.
Linda,
Fairly,
just quick
yes.
question. Great feedback from people in the chat. Love this one. Is this one accessible to everyone as well, this particular activity?
What do you mean? Is it accessible on our site? Or is it?
I think they mean, is it accessible to teachers and students in the same way that Quizlet is? They would just want
Yes,
clarification on that.
absolutely. So when I was in my slideshow, I simply clicked on this link and it took us directly to this. I'll show you the underlying spreadsheet in a minute of how this was created. But just so you know that these drag and drop activities can have an image in the background, as this one does. But many of the other templates that Flippity has are like Venn diagrams or graphic organizers, 2x2, T-charts, 4-square. You can import your own image up here and put the words that you want. Notice, by the way, I just want to point this out, that every time I come back to this activity, notice how I left it and then I came back to it. It's, oh dear, I think I just closed my slideshow. It goes back to its original position. So, you know, I can push this out over and over, and every kid that goes to it from their own computer will have the version that it's not yet completed. All right. Does that make sense? I'm gonna show you the exactly how these are created in a minute. The third one I'm going to show you, the third activity, is the certificate generator. Okay, again, you push out this URL, the students are taken to this page. It says rural, urban, suburban. Your name, I'm going to type my name in. I don't have to put first and last. I can say anything that I want here. And now I'm going to be presented with a number of questions. I only put 5 in here. What kind of community has a lot of open space? Rural. What type of community is New York City? Urban. Where might you find farms? Rural. I'm getting them all right, by the way, for the matter of time. What kind of community is shown here? So you see, now I'm including images in my activity as well. This looks urban to me. Don't you guys agree? I wish I could get a little feedback, but I know you have your microphones muted. What type of community has open spaces and housing developments? That's where I live, a suburban community. And what kind of community is shown here? Well, that looks like the kind of neighborhood where I live, suburban. So when I get it right and I submit my responses, yay, there's my certificate. How good do I feel about myself? I got them all right. And I wouldn't get my certificate presented to me until I had gotten them all right. So again, you want to know if your kids are mastering these terms or you know, knowing this content, you could push this activity out to them, customize it any way you want with any grade level, any unit whatsoever that you want to do, any subject matter. And then at the end, they can print their certificate and they could like take a picture of it and send it to you. Their mothers or fathers could. They could take a screenshot, etc. Or, you know, just for my own sake, since I'm not getting anything at home to take home to hang on the refrigerator door for mom and dad, here I have a certificate that says that I successfully completed my rural, urban, and suburban communities little quiz that my teacher pushed out to me. Okay, so I'm going to go to Flippity for a minute. What time is it? I want to keep track of the time here. Just so you see how these activities work. And like I said before, I do have this how-to guide for you, step by step. I showed you step by step on how to do the drag and drop activity, by the way. The other ones have their instructions right on the template itself. So when I go to Flippity, so let's say I wanted to create that Flippity scavenger hunt, right? So first of all, when I'm on the site, I go to demo and it actually gives me a demo of what is this activity all about, right? So you can look at their demos. Their demos are interesting because they have a lot of different types of examples that you can do. But I'm not going to go through all that right now. So then also the instructions are right here. So you can see they have very explicit instructions. And for someone like me, who's kind of like a techie, like I wanted to go the next, the next step, excuse me, with the drag and drop activity. I have another one that I can show you. And I had a diagram of the parts of a plant that I helped some science teachers with. So you can upload your own image and then put the words on, so kids have to label their diagram. The map is available to everyone, but you might want to put your own image up there. So these instructions show you how, exactly step by step. Now, here's the actual template for that scavenger hunt. So you click on template. It opens up, you know, you're in your Google Drive, which means you're in, you know, you're in your Gmail account or your Google Drive or whatever. You make a copy of the spreadsheet. It's working up here. You see it? I got a lot of things open. Here it is. So this, they give you the spreadsheet. Here's the question. Here's the correct answer. And here's the hint if you want to include a hint. Remember when I clicked on the little light bulb is when the pictures came up. So in other words, you just change these questions, type in your own questions. If you want to put a hint or you want to put a picture, here's where you would put that with the specific instructions on what to do. And then here's the answer. Here are the different options that you can do, whether they're case sensitive, et cetera, et cetera. This is in the scavenger hunt activity. And then once you've done it all, you just click File, Publish to the Web, and you publish the whole document. And again, these directions are very clear. Then I copy this link. It takes me here. Now, assuming that I've customized this, I haven't. And then I simply click this link that says, get the link here. And it takes me to the activity. This is the URL that I push out to students right here. The spreadsheet is mine. It's on my Google Drive. And if I find that I need to tweak it, I can simply go back to the spreadsheet and tweak it. Any questions? I know it might seem a little bit complicated to you, but believe me, following my directions and the Flippity website directions, I think you should really have an easy time with it.
I don't have any questions right now, Linda, but I agree. I think for a lot of us, the best way to experience this and learn this is just to play around with it, kind of like you said.
Sit down, play around with it. It's really not that. I was going to show you this one other example that I have actually on the handout. Here is one that I created using a diagram, like one of my PDFs or something that I had in my hard drive. I helped some teachers do this for a digital breakout they did. So again, here you just put your own words in, and then you do I know this STEM? Oh, here we go. And you just drag and drop these activities. And again, oh, that's the roots. Here's the STEM. There we go. And again, if you really wanted to assess the kids, you could have them take a screenshot. But again, you know, maybe you've pushed out a reading for them and then you want them to follow up with some kind of fun activities. These Flippity activities are really a lot of fun for students. And like I said before, don't restrict yourself just to the ones that I showed you today. There are flashcards, although I kind of like Quizlet for flashcards. There's timelines, there's typing tests even, just a whole multitude of activities that you can use with your students, crossword puzzles, all kinds of things for you to push out to them, to deliver content to them in a fun and engaging way when you're not with them face-to-face in the classroom. I gotta move on, All right, so here we are. My next step is building virtual tours for students using Google Tour Builder. Now, I've always loved Google Earth. I've always loved Google My Maps, especially for social studies, because it's a way to like really bring people and places to your kids in kind of a really meaningful and engaging way. But it has been a little difficult to create some of these in the past. But now they have this new tool called Tour Builder that is just so easy step by step to use. Before I go on, I just want to say something else about equity here. What if your kids don't have internet access? I would certainly, get a pulse of your whole class. Hopefully by now you've been, working virtually with them for 2 weeks now. You kind of know who does and doesn't have internet access at home. And you probably know maybe if they're limited in terms of how much time they have every day to be on the internet. A lot of districts have gone, so far in terms of trying to deliver devices to kids who don't have them at home. And there have even been ways to get them internet access at home if they don't have it. So as we keep progressing through this difficult time we're in, we are doing our best to get devices to kids. But certainly when you consider using these, consider your class, consider, their access, consider how much time they have access, etc.
Can I jump in for 1 second, Linda?
Absolutely.
Just to build on that with the idea of equity, the materials that we're pushing out, these mini units, and I really have to tip my hat to Linda. She's been a terrific partner. She and I have kind of been the two ones who have been authoring the mini units going out, and our 3 through 5 mini unit should be posted either later today or tomorrow. They're really designed for flexibility. And I would just encourage you, not only in terms of what resources to use from us, but just in general, just really be flexible. Kind of think through the lens of how chaotic our own lives are at this point, and understand that, if you have 25 students within your classroom, they're going to have 25 different experiences within their households. And as we think about the limitations of technology, we think from parents, working from home, there may only be one laptop. Just kind of think about that as you design and think about your lessons. We did have another question, Linda, from Tiffany. Will you be showing how to have the kids create their maps using the icons like was in Friday's webinar? So I think what Tiffany's asking is, maybe at the very end, would you be able to pull up the map from our SSELA K through 2 unit, and maybe if Tiffany wants to hang out for a second, you could show her a little bit more explicitly how to create that for students to make their maps.
Okay, is that the map that I just showed with the continents and oceans?
I think what she's referring to, I think she's referring to the one from our Friday webinar. I think she's referring to the one from the actual lesson. The slide decks.
Slideshow?
Yep.
Oh, the Google slideshow with the icons? I see. Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. At the very end, what we'll do is, if you folks want to stick around for a few minutes, Linda and I can walk anybody through that. What Tiffany and Catherine are both referencing, it looks like Catherine also just chimed in the K through 2 unit lesson. Linda made some awesome slide decks. She also made an awesome slide deck for our 3 through 5 unit lesson that's coming out. So for those of you that want to stick around past this presentation, I'm sure Linda can go through very quickly and just kind of walk you through that process as well.
Okay, great.
All right.
So now talking about these Google tours, when we study social studies with our kids, we don't just want to, especially like in this remote situation, we just don't want to push out readings to them, reading about this, reading about that, and answering questions. So these Google tours really give you a chance to push out the reading so kids do it, but also take them visually, take them to the places that they're studying. And you can add your own pictures, your own videos, your own text, etc. So I'm going to actually take you to one that I created. It very simply. It did not take me that long to create it. And this is for our grade 3 communities around the world. And it's called a virtual tour of our communities around the world. I think I want to close some of my windows because I'm a little bit nervous about losing some connectivity here. So don't mind me while I close some of these flippity windows. Look at them all. I got a lot of things open here. Quizlet, I'm sorry. Oh, there's Andrew Sutherland again. All right. So here we'll go now to my Google Earth. Now, of course, I am logged into my Google account. So, and where did it go? Where did my Google Earth go? Oh, here we are. Okay. So this is my Google Earth tour. Now, there's two different versions of this tour, by the way. This version, and this is actually the link that I might send out to students, and they would simply click play full screen. All right, so I'm going to go back to slide 1. I'm on. So here we are, third grade communities around the world. So now all of a sudden, we're going to go to 3 or 4 different places, and I'm actually going to see them on the map, and I'm going to see where they are in relationship to each other. I wrote this paragraph over here: take a tour around the world to learn about some famous cities and tourist attractions as that we learn about in social studies. You're going to visit the Statue of Liberty, you're going to visit Masai Mara National Park in Kenya, and the Great Wall of China, and Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. And as you're viewing this tour, I forgot to link up the graphic organizer. You're going to take some notes on the graphic organizer I've provided. And at the end of the tour, you're going to write a paragraph about which one of these places you would most like to visit. And you're going to explain why. And then you can even make a travel brochure or other kind of travel advertisement encouraging others to travel to your favorite spot. Okay, so that's the introduction to the project. This is the first page that the students would get to when you push this URL out. So when they click the next button, they're going to start, you're going to see, at the Statue of Liberty. And I even chose that they can actually be in the virtual view, you know, the street view that you get when you go on Google Maps. Hey, look at that. We're actually up in the Liberty. Or I can switch back to the regular view here of being on the ground. Now, why did that happen? Okay. So you can see here, there's a little paragraph about the Statue of Liberty. Up here, there are different pictures that I have about the Statue of Liberty. And I've even been able to include a video that's going to pop right up and play about the Statue of Liberty. So again, I've chosen these resources. I went to YouTube. I found the one that's only 3 or 4 minutes long that the kids will not get, you know, bored watching. And again, whoops, I got to move this little thing here. And again, that's my Statue of Liberty. Now I'm going to go to the next stop on my tour, which is Rio. And we're going to learn about Carnival. If you happen to be a 3rd grade teacher, you know this is part of our social studies curriculum. Again, I have a video linked up here. I have different images. And another thing that I have linked on is our actual reading that is included in our SSELA curriculum. So when the student clicks here, it brings up those 3 or 4 paragraphs that we carefully wrote about Carnival. So the students can actually read this as part of, you know, as I said before, it's part of our social studies curriculum. When they're done with Rio, they can go on to Kenya. And again, here's the reading that is included on our website, 3 or 4 paragraphs appropriate for 3rd grade. They can look at pictures up here, and they can watch a video.
Linda, can you just sorry,
yes.
Question from Michelle. Could you just explain a little bit how it has you embed that video, what the process is to embed that video like you did?
I'm going to go through that when I actually show them the builder. Okay.
Thank you.
So again, these are all things that I have chosen. In this particular, I didn't include an article. I didn't include a reading from our curriculum on the Great Wall, but what I did include was the hyperlinks that are included on our site, which is letting you take the virtual tour, which is actually, this is a site that's linked right on our curriculum, the virtual tour of the Great Wall of China. And I also, because we don't have a reading about the Great Wall on our social studies site, I found a website that is very appropriate for kids. It's from Kittle, which is an article about the kids' facts about the Great Wall of China, again, with a lot of pictures. So within that tour, you could see that in some cases I linked to one of our readings because I downloaded it from our site and uploaded it to my Google Drive. and then link to it. Or I could find appropriate websites or use the websites that are included in our curriculum that relate to all of these different places. Now I'm going to go to the last stop, which I just decided to have randomly. Well, I'm getting them ready for 4th grade where we study New York State history and government, right? So it says your last stop is Albany. We'll pretend we've stopped here to visit the state capitol and tell other New Yorkers about the places we visited and the ones that we found most interesting. Your assignment is linked here. Okay, so I created the assignment. Here it is. You've just taken a virtual tour around the world. You visited several places. What was your favorite place? So your writing assignment is to write a paragraph explaining your choice. Why did you choose it? Give me some specific details. Compare this to a place that you live, that you know is closer to home. How are they the same? How are they different? You could write any questions that you want here. And then the project would be to design a poster or travel brochure about the place that you chose. Be sure to include some facts and photographs, the reason to visit, you know, climate, recreation, etc. And then we give them some options. You could make a poster, you could make a slideshow. Again, we want to give our students choices. They might prefer to make a diorama, anything that they want. Now, just before I move on and show you, I do want to show you that you can view this in Google Earth. Did I already pull it up? Let's see. Open in Google Earth. I actually kind of really like the way it looks in Google Earth, but it takes a little bit longer to load. Let's see if it comes up. Because in Google Earth, I don't know if you've used Google Earth, you get to kind of travel the globe and zoom in, and you really get to see the relationship of where these places are to each other. So here we are. This is its view in Google Earth. Again, look, here's my whole introductory paragraph over here of what I wrote. I'm going to go to my next site now. And it's going to zoom out and show you where the Statue of Liberty is. Here's all my pictures that I included up here. I'm going to get rid of this window just so you see it a little better. It takes me right to that street view. Here I am. I'm at the Statue of Liberty. Wow, there's nobody there. Well, there's the people there. And again, I can go step by step through each of these stops on my virtual tour. So I really like looking at it in Google Earth as well, because again, kids see that bird's eye view of what it's like. Now, I think it was Tiffany that said, oh, how do you do this, right? How do you create a tour? I did provide for you explicit directions again.
Right, and it was Michelle that also asked about embedding
videos.
videos.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I'm looking for my slideshow up here. I keep closing my windows. Oh, here it is. All right, so just to show you back here on this slide, here's my how-to guide. Step-by-step directions. What to do. Go to Google Tour Builder, log into your Google account, start a tour. I'll show you, and it's not, it only took me 2 pages to write, and it's not even that complicated at all. I also want to show you on my slideshow again. I keep losing it because that little toolbar is up at the top, on top of my windows. You know what I'm talking about, Greg. On this, there's a wonderful resource right here that this super techie guy created. He has this whole website, Getting Started with Google Tour Builder, and there's the step-by-step directions. Plus, he's got these sample tours at the bottom, all kinds of tours that you can use. 3D shapes in the real world. I love that. Look at that. So there are a lot of Google tours that have already been created by other people that you can access. But in order to create it, you simply sign into your account, create new tours. Here's the tour that I just created. You see what it looks like? You just add a location, but I'm going to just click create a new tour. You give it a name, test tour, you put in your author. There I am. I'm going to put PNW both, and then create the tour. And it actually just does this step by step for you. Here's where you're going to add your directions right here. Add a photo. So I could add my photo here. This is kind of my title slide, but if I want to add a new location, I just click add location. So let's say I want to take my kids to San Francisco. That's where I want to go right now. San Francisco, California. It takes me right there. I'm going to add that to my tour. So I just click add to tour. And then I'm going to add photos and videos. So I click this button. Now here I am. Where do I want to add photos from? I could from my own drive, but I'm just going to click search for images. Type in San Francisco. There we go. Great photograph. I can add multiple pictures, by the way. Maybe I want to add this one to get a street view. Notice all these check boxes. Maybe you might want to add that Coit Tower. Do you see that anywhere? I don't see. Oh, here's the cable car. So you see, I think I can add up to 25 different pictures. I can even add a map if it comes up in this search box. So I can add as many pictures as I want. Click select. And now see, it says here 1 of 3. You just go 1, 2, 3. What about that video that we talked about before? Hit the plus button again. Instead of searching for images, I'm going to search YouTube. I'm going to put in San Francisco. Now, I usually do for kids because there's probably millions of San Francisco videos. I want to make sure I pick something that's appropriate for kids, that isn't too long. Places to visit in the Bay Area, Golden Gate Bridge for kids, social study video lesson. So anyway, I would preview this in advance and make sure that it's appropriate and it was short enough. Here's things to do with kids. So I might click on that, hit select. Now that's added to my tour. Here's where I write my description down here. This is a fun city. And notice if I wanted to include a hyperlink, I would just open another tab, find a website about San Francisco and link it right in here. I can change the kind of icon I use, not that big a deal, but you can, if you want, choose a different icon and that goes on your map. And then I simply just continue adding locations. When it's all done, you say save the tour, save now. And the link that you would end up pushing out to students would be accessible. I'm letting it be saved now. If I go back over here to my tours, that tour is going to be listed with my tours. And I would simply say share. You have to share the tour. Up here is the share button. And this is the URL. Now, this is in my instructions, so don't think it's difficult. Right now it's private. Only I can see it. I'm still creating it. I don't want to share it. I don't want to make it public. But once I want to share this with my students, I change that to say anyone who has the link, I click save. And then here is the link that I'm going to send to my kids. I love these Google Earth tours. I think that Google tours, I think they're easy to create. They're meaningful. They let you include text. They let you include images. They let you include videos. You send your student that one URL. They take a tour. Their experience social studies in a really engaging and meaningful way. And look at this. It's 10 o'clock, Greg. You're my timekeeper. I'm not good.
I didn't want to break your concentration though, because you are just, you're going through everything and
I know, and I'm not even getting to my last part of my presentation yet.
I know, but I think we do want to leave a minute or two for questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I will tell you, in terms of directions, when Linda says that she gives explicit directions, she really does. And I shared both mine and Linda's email addresses, and I'll do that again in the chat momentarily. If you have follow-up questions, if you're confused about something, even if you come up with a great idea and you just want to share it out so that we can share it with the broader community, please feel free to reach out to both of us. And Mary Beth had asked, is this recorded? It is recorded, and it will be available on PNW BOCES. Actually has its own pretty extensive YouTube page with several sub playlists, and you'll be able to search for it. But it will be up there. And we can also probably, right on the SSELA landing page, if you go to online learning, what I'll do later, Linda, is I'm going to embed all of our social studies offerings that we've done so far, and I'll put that also under online learning. And like I said before, we're going to be putting up our 3 through 5 unit, hopefully by this afternoon, and if not by this afternoon, by tomorrow morning. Maybe what we'll do now, Linda, is open it up to questions. If we have anybody who has questions in the last minute or two, and then I know that some of you are also interested in sticking around to ask any questions about the slide decks that Linda had built for the K through 2 lesson. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to use the raise hand function that's in the participants function, and that's on the very bottom of your screen, or feel free to type them into the chat, and Linda and or myself will be happy to respond to you. But can't thank you enough, Linda. This was awesome, and I mean, I learned a lot, as I think I always do, and when you and I chat, in terms of your ability to understand technology. And again, we want this SSELA curriculum to work for all of you at this time. Be flexible, right? Understand that this is a learning process for everybody that's involved, and we're here to support you as much as possible. But if anybody has any questions, or if you're sticking around to hear more about the slide deck, just feel free to kind of type that away in the group chat down at the bottom, what your needs are at this point, and we'll facilitate those for you. But thank you all for attending.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get to cover the last part of the presentation. Maybe we'll see if we can do something with that at another time.
You know, maybe what we can do, Linda, thinking about the 3 through 5 unit, we won't really be able to step through it in the same way because it is a much bigger mini unit than the K through 2 one was. Maybe what we can do is on Wednesday and Friday at 2 p.m. when I do those 3 through 5 mini sessions, maybe we can even just do an overview of this document and share this out with people. You don't necessarily have to do a deep dive, but we can definitely share that resource with people.
All right. Thank you for joining me. I enjoyed it. Am I staying on, Greg, or you need your room now?
No, I'm good right now. I just also shared a Google form in the chat. It's just a feedback form, and also a place where if any of you are interested in letting us know what your needs are going forward, you can also fill that in. I also do not know, I think we had 1 or 2 people who were interested in learning about the slides, but I'm not sure if they've stepped out of the room. Is anybody that's still in the room right now needing assistance with the slide decks that Linda had built for K through 2? Please just chime into the chat right now. If not, we're going to probably close this session out. All right, so I think we're actually good, Linda. Thank you again, and thank you all for joining us. And we will be sending out an SSELA newsletter either today or tomorrow, offering all these new additional resources. And also, as soon as we launch that 3 through 5 unit, we'll also be sharing that with you as well. So thank you again, Linda.
So I'm logging off. I'm not going into that.
We're all set, I believe.
Okay, perfect. Very good.
Thank you, folks. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.